Welcome everybody to Talking Elite with the All Elite Zone podcast. And tonight is part 3, the finale on Deadman Walking. The night the Undertaker lost his streak to the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. So it's going to be a very opinion-driven episode this week. We talked career facts last 2 weeks with both of the most popular, I guess, big men you could say in the sport besides Andre the Giant. Two of the most probably, I guess, drawing of any wrestler that ever is or ever was. So it's going to be a lot of fun to talk tonight's episode. So let me introduce you guys. If you guys are just joining us, let me introduce you guys to our amazing panel tonight. We have the smoothest guy on our podcast. He is the most professional podcaster. Please welcome Zach to the show down below. What's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up, everyone? So grateful to be here with you all. Thank you again for the kind words. I am rather smooth. My aerodynamics are elite. And let's go. Let's talk about the streak ending. 21-1, baby.
Oh, man. I'm so excited for this one. And then next, we have from Tennessee, because, last night, Adam was the only 10 that one of the listeners saw last night. We have Adam. Adam, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, back again. I guess I don't know what it is. Might be my animal magnetism. I have no idea.
You're a pumpkin pie. So thank you, Adam, for coming on. It's so great to have you again for Talking Elite. It's always a pleasure to have you on the podcast, brother. And then finally, we have the ringleader of the full circus. He is our producer. He is half of our graphics team. He is our booker. He is the best wrestling fantasy booking mind on the AZ podcast. Please welcome Connor to the show.
It's great to be on. Great to see everybody. It should be a fun episode tonight.
So thank you guys, of course, also to all the listeners that keep coming back every week. Also, for you guys that are new, make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Hit the bell for notifications because we do have some big shows coming up in the near future as well, from interviews to some great podcasts. And, of course, we also do our live watch-alongs where we watch Dynamite, Collision with you guys as well. So make sure you guys check us out. We're fun podcasts. So tonight's episode is going to, of course, be on Undertaker losing the streak to WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar. So if you guys remember from our last week's episode, Undertaker was the one that initiated the feud. He's the one that attacked Brock Lesnar, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And the race was on for WrestleMania 30. What did you guys think of the build-up? Did you guys like the build-up? Did you guys have a lot of suspense? Did you think that this could be the match where Undertaker could lose? Or were you guys skeptical, saying there's no way Undertaker's losing at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I never thought he would lose. I mean, maybe that's just the mark in me. But yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah. When Undertaker won against Triple H, that was WrestleMania 27. Is it 20? Which was WrestleMania that it was John Cena and The Miz? Was that 27?
Yeah, it was 27.
I thought Triple H was going to beat him at that one. I really thought Triple H had it. Then next year they had a Hell in a Cell, which marked an era with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker and all that. As I said, during that time, I was not. I missed all of it. But going back, when I actually, because I didn't watch wrestling, but when I actually found out, I was like, no way he lost. There's no way they're gonna wrestle the Undertaker lose. And then he lost.
Yeah, it was a shocker to me too. I didn't really think they would end the streak, and if they did, I thought they were going to end it to someone whose career was just jump starting, that needed the boost. Because that was my thought, is that anyone who basically ended the streak was a made person in the WWE and basically would be skyrocketed, to the top. So I never expected to be someone, like Brock Lesnar, who was already established in the early 2000s with WWE, and then he came back and did this. So, but I have some viewpoints of how it did. I know we were going to talk about it, how the aftermath of it as well.
Yeah, I know Mike was pretty shocked as well. I think every wrestling fan, in attendance that night, watching watching the news articles pop up, like it's still one of the most craziest things that I think we have witnessed as a wrestling fan. I think at least modern wrestling, I would say. Because of course you have like the shocking moments of Andre getting body slammed by Hulk Hogan for the first time. It wasn't the first time that he got body slammed. So looking at it, it's probably the most shocking moments in wrestling. And I feel like the build up, like I had a lot of suspense, but I was very skeptic of Brock Lesnar winning. I really felt in my heart that it was going to be Undertaker. And I was not a huge Brock Lesnar fan. It took me like probably until like recently, probably like last couple of years, where I'm like, okay, I can understand why Brock won. Because this is kind of another polarizing point, and I kind of want to hear your take on it. Do you guys think that Brock Lesnar won because he is now the next, basically big competitor to beat asides Undertaker? Like, I feel like it was kind of a passing of the torch. I feel like Brock Lesnar is now like the new icon. Because, the few times we get to see him in a wrestling ring a year, your pay-per-view buys are going to go straight up no matter if Brock Lesnar is going up against Osmosis Joe.
Well, I mean, I think, and this goes back to my point about how it kind of skyrocketed a certain storyline for Brock Lesnar. I think what it did was it kind of established him as that dominant person to where once he got like the Universal title and he went on like that 1 year like title reign, I mean, I don't think he would have done that without the establishment or, the legitimacy without beating the streak first. Because the streak actually projected him into that role of at that point the longest reigning Universal champion, even though he showed up time to time. He was on the part-time schedule, but he showed up and defended the title at certain times. But I don't think you would have that reign if he didn't end the streak.
I totally agree with you on that, because I feel like fans would have turned off a lot faster if he didn't beat the streak. Because I feel like that build up to that first big championship, reign back from his leave, like he literally came in as a dominant force. And to think about it, even the matches he lost, he really didn't lose. His opponents got lucky they won, because I feel like he destroyed John Cena, he destroyed Triple H. Like they were never the same after that.
Yeah, no, that's all good points, and I agree with Adam. I mean, you look at what Brock Lesnar did after that match, and just the amount of energy, if you will, that he got from the Undertaker. All that. What the Undertaker had done through his career in WrestleMania, and then Brock Lesnar goes on to Suplex City John Cena. What was it, like 16 times? And then he had
16.
And in that huge match with Roman Reigns the first time, and then Seth Rollins. And I think, wow, none of that would have happened without the streak being broken. And as much as it breaks my heart, it created so much awesome, wrestling content.
I think the hard part, since we're talking about Brock Lesnar here for just a few moments, but looking at how, especially like the people that did beat, like the chase was always better than the faces that took the belt from him. Because think about it, we had that anticipation that who is going to defeat the Beast for the championship. Like I remember when Seth Rollins won the championship from him at what WrestleMania was it where Brock came out, demanded he be put on first, and then gets pretty much not squashed, but he got beaten pretty quickly.
35.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania 35, where he got. It's so crazy that happened. I know I don't know if there was politics behind that, but think about it. The whole stadium popped for Seth Rollins that night. The whole stadium popped even when Seth cashed in on Roman and Brock from that first one. Everybody wanted to see Brock win because, of course, Roman Reigns was getting booed and shoved down people's throats at the time, of that Mania. But then to have Seth come out and, he held the belt for a pretty decent time, even though it was the Authority line and the J&J security. But it felt like leading up to his Money in the Bank cash in, I feel like he had a better story going into it. And then especially with Brock, I didn't like at the time of him being a part-time champion. I was never a huge fan of that. But looking at it, the guys like Reigns and Rollins, ones that have actually beaten him, it really did bring him up to another level. They were already big stars, but I almost feel like they brought him up to the icon level where Brock Lesnar is at. So I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking. Now my next question, we'll start off with Ariana because I think she brings up a good point here. But who do you think should have beaten the streak before Undertaker was defeated by Brock? She thinks that Shawn Michaels should have done it.
Yeah, they had some pretty 25 and 26. They had some pretty really good matches. The first match was really good. 25. I think Shawn Michaels almost had it several times in both matches. And 26 was his career on the line. So it's a streak or someone's career.
Technically.
Kind of.
Well, he was pretty good about it
career.
until he got that Prince money from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, no one kind of Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair. Undertaker retired Michaels. They don't say retired.
We need to do a whole list of wrestlers that retired but still came back.
Yeah.
And kept coming back.
I mean, that list will have a good few ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, only freaking Ric Flair. He his last match. He's such a carny. Ric Flair is such a carny.
I will say,
I can't believe he wrestled Jeff Jarrett and took a guitar shot to that.
In one way, I am glad he did come back because we got that Jay Lethal and Ric Flair skit on TNA.
Yeah,
that was really, really good. But who should have? For me, I thought Triple H at WrestleMania 27. I thought Triple H had it. I got Triple H.
I can see that. Adam?
You know what? For me, let me look at this real quick. In all honesty, for me, it should have been two people. One of two people. One, it should have been CM Punk. Just because
dang, you took my
Punk
pick.
needed to he needed to reestablish himself on that level, since he had that downfall of losing the title. But two, and we kind of saw it in a segment on Raw, but Bray Wyatt. I thought Bray Wyatt would have been a perfect person to end the streak as kind of a passing of the torch to the supernatural characteristics. So if I had to choose between those two, it had to be Bray Wyatt. I love what Bray Wyatt does as a creative sense of mind. I love how he incorporates horror into his character and into everything he does, like the horror suspense to it. It's something you don't see a lot in WWE much anymore. I mean, they were doing a lot of, crazy stuff back in the late 80s, early 90s with kind of characters like that, like Papa Shango, and the Boogeyman. But, Undertaker had this aura about him. He was the Deadman. So in order to do that, you had someone like Bray Wyatt right there who had that whole Cape Fear kind of character of, the Wyatt family kind of aura. So I honestly think it should have been Bray Wyatt.
Before we get to Zach's picks, I really think that CM Punk should have won. He needed a little bit extra to go. If you would have had CM Punk win, I feel like he would be bigger than John Cena. He would have been bigger than almost Hulk Hogan at that point.
Imagine if he would have. A lot of things would have been different today.
Honestly, I don't think AEW would be around.
He may not have left WWE at that time if he would have won. A lot of things would have been differently, maybe.
And then looking at it,
something to think about.
And then looking at Bray Wyatt, that's another one that Bray Wyatt literally could have had that torch passed to him, and he could have been on that. He could have been brought up to a whole nother level, and probably booked more, convincingly, more consistent. But Undertaker came back, his first WrestleMania match after losing the streak and beat Bray. So I don't know. I feel like those two would been a really good pick. Davis says Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That would have been. I think that would have been another one that would have made sense as well. Zach, what about Mike says Edge. What about you, Mike or Zach? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean Mike and Davis. Yeah, those are two great picks. Edge, Triple H. Oh my gosh, yeah. If CM Punk would have won, like I can only imagine. But yeah, for me, I'd have to say probably Bastion Booger. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But no, seriously, this might get a little heat. But I would have liked to see John Cena beat The Undertaker. You love him, you hate him, but I mean, he's probably one of the most polarizing characters in WWE. So just to see that happen, but then again, John Cena was kind of starting on the downhill slide, and you want to see that passing of the torch go to someone who will then take the ball and run with it. So John Cena, I think that would have been cool.
Here's another. This would be like the one that would really get heat, but I'm surprised they didn't wait for Roman. But because Roman was the other person to defeat Undertaker at WrestleMania, I'm like, you should have just had because you knew that Roman was going to get booed out of the building no matter what with him beating the Undertaker like he did. You should have then had Roman Reigns defeat the streak at that Mania.
And actually, they did an interview with Undertaker, and he even said that if it had to be someone, he said story-wise, making more sense, should have been Roman. He said he kind of regrets that they didn't push Roman to end the streak, because you had Brock ended already. But again, it goes back to my point of Brock ending the streak, putting that one. You give Taker a couple more wins at WrestleMania, and then Roman beats him. That sets up the whole Brock and Roman thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have that without either one of them beating Undertaker at WrestleMania.
I was about to say that. Like, I don't think the Brock and Roman would have happened so many times if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar winning and beating the Undertaker. Like, a lot. Because Roman and Brock both beat Undertaker, and then they would go into feuds with themselves. And how many matches have they had?
I think at least 4 WrestleMania matches.
Quite a bit.
They've made them into WrestleMania a few times. They've been on SummerSlam. They've been everywhere. So yeah, I don't
know. That's one of the things. Like, there was just so many matches. Like, if you're gonna say someone's getting shoved down someone's throat, unfortunately, that does not help your case when you have Roman versus Brock 10 at WrestleMania 50. Because
how many WrestleManias did they main evented? They did 31, which kind of, but Seth Rollins it wasn't in the match, but was it 30? No, Cody was this last year, right?
Yeah, because really Reigns has really been dominant the few years since he defeated Brock. And Triple H. Like, I can't think of, because I know up to that point he had the cash in victory. He had the cash in. Really, how many times? Because I'm curious, because I feel like I'm missing a match with Reigns before Brock
Lesnar.
Was there like a Shield match at Mania? Maybe.
Oh,
they may have wrestled WrestleMania 30.
Let's see.
Shield. I know Roman. No, Roman and Brock. They went against each other many and many a times.
3. 3 WrestleManias. It was WrestleMania 31, 34, and then 38.
Yeah. Because so WrestleMania 29. Oh, I forgot about this match. That was the Shield versus Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Big Show. And Reigns would win that one. So let's see. And then at the same WrestleMania where Undertaker lost, you have the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws.
That's random.
Where, so they would basically beat him with a triple power bomb to the New Age Outlaws. His first Brock Lesnar match, WrestleMania 31. Where Seth cashed in. 32, you had WrestleMania with Triple H. And then Roman Reigns versus Undertaker, of course, where he won. And then another Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania 34. Then Drew McIntyre at 35. Yeah. Daniel Bryan Edge at WrestleMania 37. I forgot about that one, too.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania 9 or WrestleMania 38. Brock Lesnar and Reigns again. And then, all the way up to Cody Rhodes. So, never mind. I feel like he had a pretty decent run there.
I know Brock and Roman went against each other at SummerSlam. That way he flipped the freaking ring.
Yeah.
So,
looking at it, you can't tell Roman Reigns' story without Brock Lesnar. You can't tell Brock Lesnar's story without Undertaker.
Yeah.
So this is the dark side of the All Elite Zone. Have you guys heard the famous Paul Heyman shoot interview where he says that Brock Lesnar might have went into business for himself during that WrestleMania match?
Inside the ropes. Yeah.
Yeah, the inside the ropes. Yeah.
For those of you guys that don't know, it's on YouTube. Paul Heyman tells a story about Brock Lesnar going into business for himself because there was only a few people that knew the outcome for that match. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, and Paul Heyman. They were the only ones that knew the results. And the question gets asked, Brock, you would not be able to tell Brock Lesnar no.
Yeah.
So if he went to business for himself, what are you going to do about it? I know we're kind of pulling back the curtain of kayfabe here, but looking at it, like, could Brock Lesnar have gone into business for himself? Was Undertaker supposed to lose that match?
I mean, Paul Heyman said, if he would have purposely beat Undertaker, we're not going to fire him because he just beat the Undertaker WrestleMania. Like, how can you, where do you go with that? And Brock Lesnar is a strong person who could take matters into his own hands, I feel like. And the Undertaker, he got injured in that match.
Concussion.
He got injured, so maybe he was hurt after that match. He had a hard time getting up. But Paul Heyman's very good at making you believe certain stuff is not real. So he just puts that thought in our heads. So
that's called good business, pal.
But Brock Lesnar, I could see him doing it.
But you also did bring up another good point, though. That was probably the first time we saw Undertaker be vulnerable and be more human than Phenom. To watch him barely be able to walk to the back and have to go to the hospital. Like, dude, Vince McMahon does not leave WrestleMania for anything, but he left for Undertaker. He went with him to the hospital.
Maybe Brock did do it. You never know.
I mean, who knows? I look at it too from like a merchandise standpoint too, because then you wouldn't have those Brock Lesnar shirts that says "Eat, Sleep, Conquer the Streak."
Yeah,
like that.
No.
I mean, that on a merchandise sale, that's the only thing. I mean, and you needed more merchandise, and that's why I feel like even though the interview Paul Heyman said that Brock went in for business for himself, I don't know.
That's why he says
it's kind of like it's kind of like blurring the lines with the comparing it to the Montreal Screwjob, because before, if you've ever seen any stories behind the Montreal Screwjob, especially the one of the Bret Hart documentaries, it follows him leading up to that event. And he sat down with Vince, and the original plan for that was there was going to be a no DQ finish. There's going to be a DQ finish, be a draw to where Bret kept the title. But behind closed doors, Vince, Shawn, and Earl Hebner changed the outcome of that match behind closed doors. So it's kind of like that shoot interview with Paul saying Brock went in for himself and maybe he wasn't supposed to break the streak, but he did. So you never know who's telling the truth and where the lie is.
Yeah. Paul Heyman's very good about. See, that's one thing with Paul Heyman. He's still very convincing about what's truth and what's fiction.
Yep. If anyone's, he's a very, he's put together a lot of great stuff in ECW. He's one of the. He's a very good storyteller. He didn't say that one time. I believe it was him. That he's not a writer, he's a storyteller. Or maybe that's someone else, but
no, that was him.
But Paul Heyman, he's able to convince you of anything. Like he could convince us that Vince McMahon isn't actually Vince McMahon and it's just Ken McMahon all along.
He's just a figment of our imagination. Vince McMahon's real name is Vicky Starks, and he's a banker from New York. That plays a character on TV, and that every scandal he's done was all for the business.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like the best professional wrestling is whenever we the fans can't really tell, is it a work, is it a shoot, and and Paul Heyman is the master at that. And yeah, I don't know. I'd have to say that it was a work, Brock winning that match, because I just can't. As much as Brock is who he is, I can't see him disrespecting The Undertaker like that. But who knows?
But I think it's more just entertaining when Paul Heyman said it.
He is trying to create controversy.
Controversy equals cash.
But if Brock doesn't want to, he could.
Brock Lesnar's only a UFC champion.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with Zach. I don't feel like Brock Lesnar has disrespected people before, but I don't know if he'd go that far. I don't know.
Not for The Undertaker. For Dean Ambrose, yeah. Not for Undertaker.
Yeah, no, I just rewatched that today, the little shoot Paul Heyman had on saying Dean Ambrose was just a punk about everything and kind of just was basically went into work for himself and was not excited about that match with Brock Lesnar.
Well, if you were trying to get, because at the time wasn't he? Because he had just lost the belt, right?
Yeah. So Seth Rollins was the champ at the time.
Was this before? Yeah, because this was before. Was this before Money in the Bank when he got the huge cash in? So
because
WrestleMania 32 was Brock and Ambrose.
Well, the thing is, Moxley, Dean Ambrose, Jonathan Good, what do you want to call him this week? He is not a dumb guy. He, for bleeding like he does, he actually is a very smart guy. Think about it. I think I would be upset too if I was in his shoes where, okay, I get to work with Brock Lesnar. We're going to make it a great match. He's still going to win, but I'll come out looking like a strong and almost like I was in an independent scene almost in a way. And then, of course, Brock has to go get tested for UFC and is trying to train for that. It's like, no, we are going to we're going to have you squash Ambrose.
I mean, he can squash anybody he wants. Well, there's a few names that took him to his limits, like Rock, Undertaker. But
we could do a whole podcast on Brock Lesnar's took him to the limits with certain wrestlers. But I want to see it one more time.
I like to see John Moxley and Brock Lesnar because Dean Ambrose and John Moxley are two different people.
Yeah,
they're not the same. They're the same person, but not.
But actual where Mox could be Moxley.
Yeah, that's Ambrose is the watered down version of John Moxley. He's the watered down version. And then John Moxley's is turning the switch a little bit too far with stuff. TV 14.
Yeah.
I
to be honest with you,
so
I'm okay with the thing is, I think Ambrose, yeah, it sucks, but he wasn't unprofessional or anything. He was just upset with working with him. So I think Paul Heyman's just mad that he's no longer part of WWE, and a lot of things that Moxley said about WWE and being frustrated, that probably rubbed salt in Paul Heyman's wounds the wrong way.
Oh, CM Punk did it like that. That's one of the similarities that CM Punk and Moxley have. You know, like a lot of the stuff they said is the exact same. Like it's a chore to go to work, basically.
Which is funny because I'm surprised more people aren't jumping on the AEW bandwagon, because of how many people have. See, everybody gets mad at some of the AEW stars that lose their contracts, right? But dude, AEW didn't let anybody go during the pandemic. They waited until until everything kind of came back into fruition, right? You let go 50 people, and also report one of the biggest, years to your stakeholders you've ever made.
Oh, it was more than 50. It was probably over 100 people.
Yeah, it was well over 100.
Yeah,
there was some
crazy.
people that they released that they didn't even announce. Referees.
They did a lot. Yeah, they did referee. They did a lot of NXT UK people too, like their other brands too.
Didn't they cancel the whole
NXT UK? Yeah, NXT UK is done. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and to go along with what you're saying, Lane, is also the difference between that is if a contract ends with AEW, they can go. They don't have any hold on them that they can't do another promotion. That's the thing with WWE. They have that 90-day no compete clause.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon.
That's why the people don't understand is these contracts like in WWE, those people can't work for 90 days. That hurts their livelihood. Where in AEW, if your contract's up, like we talk about Brian Pillman Jr. leaving, but I hope he goes somewhere where he's happy and he's making money.
Yeah.
So and if that's the WWE. My God, man, make sure you read the the contract thoroughly, man. Don't they need to change that because as soon as your contract ends with AEW, you can go. WWE, you can't do anything for 90 days.
Well, Roy brings up a good point. I forgot. I forgot about Havoc, but Havoc's kind of a black mark, unfortunately, on the company a little bit, though. But I don't remember Gibbs or
Sadie Gibbs. Yeah,
and then who's the other one?
B. Priestley. Well, now she's in WWE as I don't know what his name is.
But I do apologize. I don't remember him.
She's going out with Will Ospreay, or is?
Gotcha. But wasn't Gibbs and were those two were they not contracted or were they contracted? Do you remember?
Yeah, they were. B. Priestley was one of the first ones signed actually. Before the pandemic, she was. It looked like she was going to be the one to beat Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship, like the very last Dynamite before the pandemic. She held the world.
Did she ask for her release, or did they just release her?
I think they released because during the pandemic, a lot of them couldn't come over. So,
so it could have been.
She goes by Blair Davenport now in WWE and NXT.
Yeah, I forgot Roy, but for the most part, 3 names compared to 100.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Havoc is different.
Jimmy Havoc was more fired.
But Gibbs and Priestley, I wish they would have kept Sadie Gibbs. Justin Rose was training her, and they really built her up when AEW first started. Now ever since that, she retired from wrestling, but she seems happy with what she's doing though in life. So, but out of the ones you said, B. Priestley, I'd like to see what would have happened because B. Priestley and Jamie Hayter probably would have had a really good match.
Good point. Well, sorry, Roy. I was wrong. Everybody on the podcast, I was wrong. I told. I guess maybe I don't know if you count Havoc just because of everything that happened. So maybe it's more being fired.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if you want to.
A lot of people doesn't know this, but they. Well, he was living with Kip Sabian at the time, and AEW was going to keep him if he would go get help, but he refused to get help. So.
Really? So he could have done what Sammy Guevara did, where went through training and then.
Yeah, that was an option because I can't remember what all he did, but he had a lot of mental health issues at the time when everything was going on. They offered kind of like there was a few other people. Moxley, like the same people that they sent Moxley and Guevara. It was the same option for Havoc, and he, I guess, either didn't go through, he didn't want to do it, or whatever. So
Havoc pulled a Joey Ryan, man.
I like Jimmy Havoc. I really like
Joey Ryan.
But
him and Joey Ryan, just with stuff they did, just tainted everything, and it's like they pretty much put a dark stain on their opportunities with bigger promotions, and that's why I feel the same way with Blanchard, with Tessa, because she's such a talented wrestler, but because of her actions and stuff like that, she's like almost blacklisted from a lot of major promotions.
Which is weird because, like, could you imagine her in WWE or AEW? She'd be one of the next big world champions.
For sure.
So what really, because we'll get back on topic here with the Brock Lesnar and Undertaker side, but what happened to cause her to get that blacklisted? I know she held on to the Impact World Championship.
So what it was there's allegations, and these are allegations. It's not coming from me. These are just what I've read. Allegations of backstage issues with her, inappropriate remarks and being pretty much just mean backstage to some of the female wrestlers, and racial comments were made towards certain wrestlers, a certain wrestler in general. So it kind of put her on a bad taste, and that's why Impact released her. I think right now, though, she's starting to go through a little bit of a change, which I hope works for her, because I'd like to see her fix her steps and actually get into a big promotion, because she deserves it. She's a very talented wrestler. I mean, she's Tully Blanchard's daughter, She's the stepdaughter of Magnum TA. Like, she's got wrestling in her blood. Yeah. So her mom married Magnum TA. So Magnum TA is actually her stepdad.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. That's crazy.
I remember the day that this all happened. It was the day. It's kind of funny that it all came out the day that she won the world title. So it's kind of, I feel like it was on purpose that everyone did it. It was out because it was her. Like, that's the day she beat Sami Callihan for the Impact World. It was just, a lot of other people in Impact defended her, like Moose, a few other people, but the reason she got fired or released or whatever you want to call it is she basically held the world title hostage. She was charging Impact $250,000 just to send the belt back. It was during the pandemic and they couldn't travel, but it was a lot of other stuff. But I like Tessa Blanchard, but I don't know her personally, so I don't know what.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So, I was kind of now let's get back on track with Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. So thank you guys for having that was actually a pretty fun discussion we just had. We have a discussion inside the main discussion. It's always this.
Yeah.
With Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind, and I hope this becomes the thumbnail for the video, is the guy that's sitting front row just going.
Yeah, that's
like he is.
Like sometimes he may be bigger than the match itself. I don't know. He might be up there with them. Like,
I would say yes, because think about it. It's so crazy how much of a meme he became. Him and Miz Girl, him and the sad Miz Girl, are like the best reactions to wrestling. Where it's like, oh my gosh, it was good heat or it's a good surprise when that happened. I think that was the last big surprise with any wrestling promotion.
And I'm pretty sure at one point I did see that O-face reaction guy at an AEW show.
Nice.
Wow. I'm pretty sure when they were in certain, because that was in 30 was in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
AEW had a Dynamite in New Orleans, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay, because when the camera panned, I saw him in the crowd on the Dynamite, and I can't remember what show it was, Dynamite, that they were in New Orleans. But I saw him. I was like, isn't that the guy who made the O-face at the Taker match?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Connor.
Oh, no, you can go.
I just remember I used to love watching the Edge and Christian show on the WWE Network, only $9.99. by the way. And I remember they brought him on to do like a interview, and he was just like the whole time.
That's
You know-
great.
That's how Jim Cornette got his shirt because
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, a little bit.
That's cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like I think looking at it now, like as we start to kind of wind down here, but looking at the careers, because Undertaker has rode off into the sunset. You know, he had a few good matches left. You know, I loved his Boneyard match with AJ Styles, and I feel like that was a good way to send him off. You know, he kind of erased the Saudi Arabia match.
I'm still a little iffy on that Boneyard match as much as I loved it. I still don't feel it was a good send off for the Taker. You know, like being in front of a crowd last match is what it needed to be. That is why it was funny. That is why it was funny that leading up to Cody's return, everybody's saying like, "Hey, who's coming to be Seth's opponent?" Dave LaGreca on Busted Open. It's gotta be the Undertaker. I love the Undertaker. Dave LaGreca on Busted Open loves the Undertaker.
That is an understatement, Adam. Very understatement.
I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, that Boneyard match, I just didn't feel like. It wasn't the last match, man. It has to be in front of a crowd.
I remember AJ, or is it a documentary or something? Undertaker and AJ said that they wished it was an actual match, not a cinematic match.
Yeah.
I wish they could have actually gotten in the ring and worked together. Because AJ Styles, like, I seen him when he was a nobody in a little town of Bolivar, Tennessee. About 20 people there to going to WrestleMania and wrestling Undertaker. It's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is true, you know. And then I think that could have been his last big match because AJ is a very safe worker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He could have literally, but fortunately due to the pandemic, maybe if it wasn't for the pandemic, maybe we would have gotten an actual one-on-one match with the two. Jason Miller says Undertaker has to come back for one more match. I don't know. Like I feel like maybe he deserves a break and deserves a rest. And I think
there is one match that we may never get.
This one, Undertaker versus Sting. That could have been the biggest draw.
That's the one match why do you have to do Triple H and Sting? Like that was a good match
because that was the last nail in WCW's coffin.
But golly, Sting was finally done with TNA. He finally made the jump. I thought he was really the number one WCW guy never to go to WWE. They had the opportunity. Oh no, Seth Rollins had to end his career. Luckily, AEW existed in his career, did not end that way. I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all the
but now, unfortunately, we're getting down to it. Unfortunately, it's just reality.
But at least we're getting the send off that we wanted to see in WWE.
Yeah.
Instead of just a buckle bomb. Which I always love when people complain how unsafe the AEW is, but I'm like, well,
they actually abandoned that move.
That's true. But think about it. Looking at Seth Rollins, what he did to, of course, Sting. You also have Big E getting his neck broken, but you guys forget about those moments. But when AEW has one wrestler that gets barely hurt, like the thing is, it's gonna happen. It's not ballet.
No,
wrestling is not ballet.
Well, ballet is pretty tough.
Well, yeah, no, ballet is tough. I give those men a lot of credit, but it's not ballet.
No,
I wish we could have seen Undertaker versus Sting.
Like when people say wrestling's fake, irritates me because I invite them like when I was training to say, hey, come on down, take a few bumps. You can see how it.
One name.
Welcome to come by. You're more than welcome to come by. And it's just ballet, right?
It's the one name, Schultz. Remember that name when you say wrestling's fake, Schultz.
Episode, aren't we? What could have been, but you know what match also wish we could have seen? Brock Lesnar versus Taz.
Oh, yeah, the two suplex like masters or
Yes.
German suplex masters. Heck yeah.
Like, if you want to talk about, missed opportunities, I don't think they ever went up against each other. So didn't Taz retire by then?
Oh,
Brock was coming in, or was he?
Taz was long gone. Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
he was doing commentary. He came back for a few matches, but he was basically just full on commentary at that point.
It was crazy
But
to think he
He
got
did
out.
come out with Broco's catchprise, "Here comes the pain."
Yeah,
So
Mm.
at least,
but he was a big push behind Brock Lesnar, though.
yeah,
Him and Heyman were the two that stood up for him when they were trying to make him be a Russian.
yeah, that's stupid. That's stupid.
Thanks, Vince.
The thing is, it wasn't even Vince's call. It was like the older guys that were like 70s era. They were still holed up on the Iron Sheik and Koloff.
Those are the guys that were pissed
Probably
off
Michael
about the. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Michael Hayes or Pat Patterson or Joe Briscoe.
See, that's what I wish they would have. I wish Paul Heyman would have said like who it was, because I'm curious to who that was that called him Russian.
And it's probably any of those names we just said.
Probably all of them.
Holding on to the glory days,
Yeah, it's the same guys that were mad about the curtain call.
It could have been Sergeant Slaughter, because wasn't he in that thing?
Yeah, he was in there too, but I didn't think he was a producer backstage.
I don't know what he was. I knew he was something.
Was he just a manager at the time?
Yeah, because I remember on some old stuff that he would just come out like the break fight stuff, and fans would chant Sergeant Slaughter. But I bet it was Michael Hayes, if anyone.
Probably.
If you think about it too, really both those guys think about it, they both had some interesting ideas for gimmicks. Because think about it, The Undertaker on paper should never have worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar could have been a Russian. Like I said, Brock Lesnar and Undertaker literally took what they had, they stuck to what they knew, they stood up for themselves, and probably had two of the biggest wrestling careers in wrestling history.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what company it is, WCW.
Brock. Taker's already in there, but Brock is definitely, once he's done, is a shoe-in for Hall of Fame. There's no denying that.
I bet it's the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3.
3? Okay.
I'm gonna say 3. I think I don't know how much longer he's gonna get. He comes back for this Cody thing. This Cody storyline might be it for him, like, full time. As far as a story, maybe he'll make appearances every now and then, like the Undertaker does, and then he's done. There's not much he can do. He's accomplished everything he can in his life. He's been UFC heavyweight champion. He's been a collegiate wrestling champion. He's been a heavyweight champion in the WWE. He's been a New Japan Pro Wrestling champion. He's done it all.
Be in the streak. Yeah.
There's one thing he hasn't done,
which is
come to All Elite Wrestling to win the AEW World Championship.
No, that's true.
I don't want to see it.
That's what you're saying about Goldberg. Goldberg needs to do that. No, Goldberg needs
I don't want Goldberg.
Lose cleanly to Wardlow. That's what needs to be.
Yeah.
I respect Goldberg, but he needs to sit down, eat a sandwich, and relax. And
not be main focus every week.
Yeah.
Maybe once in a while.
Yeah. And Brock Lesnar married Sable, so that's another.
That's an interesting story too.
Oh, really?
If anyone has a story behind that,
no, tell a story. Do it.
Oh God.
Let's do it, man. It's towards the end of the show. Come on, we got to end on a high note.
But I'm gonna let you tell it because they asked you. So go ahead and tell
Mark
it.
Mero and Sable was going out, and then one day she wasn't picking up her phone calls, and he was on the road with WWE, I believe. Or maybe not, he was on the road with WWW still wanted to, and she wouldn't pick up her phone. She wouldn't pick up any phone calls, no messages or anything, and then I believe he got a voice message, a Sable, and then he heard someone in the background. Somehow, some way, he found out she was cheating on him, but Adam probably knows this better than me, but he goes to pick her up at the airport, and he like asks her like, so who you cheating on me with? And she's like denying it. And Adam needs to tell you the story because I know a little bit, but short story. Sable cheated on Mark Merrow with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. No, you pretty much summed it. You summed it up perfectly. I mean, it was. I think Mark Merrow was on the road with WCW because he just left WWF, and so he was in. And it was when Brock was starting to come up, and through the OVW, and they were traveling with the main roster, and him and Sable kind of hooked up, and that's when Mark Merrow found out that he was cheating on him with Brock Lesnar. And he was just like, whatever, I'm done.
At least there was a happy ending with Sable and Brock Lesnar.
And like I remember him like saying, "Who is this? I'm gonna whoop his ass." And then he finds out it's Brock Lesnar, and like, I'm good. I can find someone else.
You can have a good day, Mr. Lesnar.
And then I remember someone asking him like, "Has he ever heard back from her, or him or her, and like apology or something?" And he's like, "I don't expect a Christmas card, so I probably will never hear from them again." So.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you ending this streak with the All Elite Zone podcast. So if you haven't already, go back, listen to our build-up for both Brock Lesnar and Undertaker on our Deadman Walking series. This was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you guys so much for being part of this first big project of Talking Elite. I'm very proud of how this one all turned out. So thank you again to my wonderful panel, Connor, Adam, Zach. You really made this series probably one of the best ones that we've ever created, for sure. At least I've been a part of. So I thank all of you guys for coming out for these wonderful episodes and giving us your time, research, and talking about both careers and the impacts of the streak ending. I don't think we'll ever have a huge shock moment like that again, or something big is going to have to happen in order for that shock to be even crazier than that. So that's the way that we're going to end it. We're going to end on a high note. Guys, final closing comments. Anything you guys want to say?
Yeah, make sure you guys keep following us. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Share it with your friends. Rewatch all the episodes too. They're all on YouTube, but we're on Spotify. Just follow all of us.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? Any closing comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to SummerSlam this year. Really excited about it. Brock Lesnar is going to be facing Cody Rhodes. I wish it was Cody versus Roman, and but what are you going to do? But yeah, no, I love to hate Brock Lesnar, but I mean he is a beast. He is a beast, and I respect him for what he did, and I'm grateful for all the entertainment he's brought over the years. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Keep coming back. We got some great stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm very grateful to be a part of the fam.
Oh man, it's been awesome.
We're happy to have you, Zach.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Connor. Anything else you want to say before we do the send off?
We're thank you, Ariana. I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? August 2nd, the 200th episode.
August 2nd, the 200th episode. We are having a very special guest on here. We have the first African American Intercontinental Champion.
August 2nd, 200th episode of Dynamite. First African American champion, Intercontinental champion, like Blaine was saying. He'll be on here an hour before Dynamite, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. There's also going to be another big name coming on here pretty soon. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. It's
going to be big. From what Connor was hinting at in our group chat, we can't say anything right now. We're just waiting on it to finalize, but it's gonna. If Connor can pull this off, this is going to be probably the biggest night for AZ history. So make sure, guys, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and Instagram, or not Instagram yet, but Facebook and Twitter at least, to get to know what announcements we have coming. Because it's going to be a big one. I have a hunch on who it's going to be, so we'll have to wait for that.
I announced last night. He'll lately been announcing breaking news on here, then it making its way to the social media, like the Ottoman Johnson stuff. But AZ Canada will be debuting July 29th, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. AZ Canada will make its way to the All Elite Zone. It's going to be a pretty fun adventure with that. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for AZ Canada.
So next week's episode, I am throwing out a challenge to my panel here. And if you guys didn't hear our conversation last night, we are going to be doing a fantasy booking episode where we are going to be doing a gimmick shakeup. We are going to each give off 4 wrestlers / tag team. So it could be a wrestler or it could be a tag team that need a gimmick shakeup right now. And then we all have to book All Elite Zone's most talked about wrestler, Maria Shavir. We are going to talk on how we would book Maria Shavir to actually make her a threat. So that is the challenge laid down to the gentleman here tonight, and maybe lady, depending.
I remember you said last night that each is each of us gonna have a person that we have to book, or
we each get 5.
5 each, or
so
5?
4 each, and then Maria Shavir.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so
and that includes tag teams?
Yep. So you can do a tag team. Yep. Yep. So
that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So fantasy episodes are always some of the funnest ones that we do on the show. So it's gonna be that challenge for that. And then our following week, we are going to be. It might be pre-recorded. If I have to look and see when I'm flying out for a Vegas trip. Here in the next couple of weeks or so, we're gonna be sitting down with. Hopefully Mr. Jacobs. We're going to sit down with Adam, Zach, Connor. We're all going to be talking about the fall of WCW.
Ooh.
So we're going to go controversial and decide for ourselves to see if WCW should have failed, or if it would be still in the air if it wasn't for basically being sold from Ted Turner to Vince McMahon. So it's going to be a very fun, controversial episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. It might be pre-recorded, like I said, depending on my work Vegas trip that's coming up. I have to go out for this event. Yep.
So next Thursday is the
shakeup. Or
then the following is the WCW.
And the following will be the WCW episode. So those are our next 2 weeks. I've been excited for both these episodes. Last night, just for out of the blue, that I thought would be a fun idea just because we were talking about Maria Shavir. So we have a whole lot of other things coming up. Adam, myself, Connor, and the rest of us are going to be working on a Dark Side of the Ring theme, Talking Elite. That's going to be our next big project. We're probably going to be coming out with that hopefully in September. So it's going to be a lot of fun as well because Dark Side of the Ring has been probably one of the most intriguing parts of the wrestling fandom. So make sure you guys stick around for that. We have a lot of fun stuff coming. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, tweet us at All Elite Zone. Like I said, all of our socials are either on screen or following the All Elite Zone. So tweet us if you guys have ideas for the episode, tweet us comments, and make sure you network out to us. It's going to be a lot of fun the next few weeks. So let's keep the community growing. We have over 350 subscribers right now. We're at 360. So let's keep the name out there. Let's keep listeners coming back so they can enjoy the live shows or enjoy us on the go. So Roy, we appreciate you for watching. Awesome, guys. I appreciate your comment. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Amanda. Or is it Ariana? Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really do appreciate you guys. So if that being said, we'll see you guys next week for Talking Elite. Adam, sign us off, buddy.
And good night.